Hello, it's just Rachel again. Today I want to talk about my most favourite talk of all time at the 2013 District Convention, and it was the Human Apostates talk. Who can forget that talk? That was in, around, I think, the latter half of 2013, only a few months after I had been disfellowshipped. And at the end of my judicial meeting, I was talking to the elders and looking at the notice board at the back of the Kingdom Hall, and it had the what do you call it, the schedule, the talks for the convention, and I saw that it had this Human Apostates talk, so I mentioned at that time that I'll be interested to see what it says. When you consider that at my judicial meeting it was very friendly, the elders were laughing and joking, and two of them gave me a hug at the end, even though I was being judged the apostate, you know, the evil, nasty, predatory, insincere, horrible Antichrist. So that's how they treated me nicely. So I was quite interested to see what this convention talk was going to say. And I actually got to see it before the convention, of course, because the convention started in, I think it was June in the United States. So it had been loaded onto YouTube, so I could hear it for myself. And honestly, yeah, it was just too good an opportunity to pass up for a bit of activism. So what I decided to do, because I wanted people to get to hear this talk and to hear the kind of way that the governing body talks about those who leave the organisation, who they classify as apostates, rightly or wrongly. I wanted to draw attention to this. And you think too, the witnesses go out in a campaign for about 2 or 3 weeks before the convention, inviting members of the public to come along to the convention. So here they were inviting the public to come and hear this talk. So I thought I'd give them a little bit of assistance with that. And I feel justified in doing that. So I'll just show you what I printed up. Now, in the top there, I just quoted some of the language that was used to talk about those of us who have left the organisation. Just gave the location and stated down here, you know, come and hear the rest of what the governing body says, you know, what else they say about those who leave. So it was an invitation, and I guess a little bit shocking with the little pitchforks up there. So I don't know what witnesses thought when they came across this, because I did leave them around the convention city in public places, notice boards, letterboxes, under windscreen wipers, churches. You know, I printed rather a lot. And I'm imagining witnesses would have picked this up and perhaps thought that the words at the top in the box were relating to them. But in actual fact, these are the words that they used regards those who left. And on the back, I could have worded this better, but I just talked about the harms of shunning. There's a QR code there, which wasn't effective because we could see how many had accessed that, and nobody did really. So anyway, hopefully a few people looked up the websites there. So anyway, that was my little invitation. So I guess that would have cemented the local witnesses' view of me as being an apostate, an angry, bitter. But I mean, who wouldn't be angry to be slandered in this manner? This is why I did this, because clearly the elders who disfellowshipped me didn't think of me in the terms that are described in the talk. But they were quite content for the rest of the congregation and other witnesses to view me that way. And that's just wrong. That's very wrong. So anyway, I got caught distributing those flyers at the actual convention on the day, and that's another video in itself, and it's kind of quite funny really how witnesses exaggerate. I'll tell you, I had a whole lot of them folded up fairly small in my pocket, and I was feeding them through a hole in my pocket, through a hole in my skirt, and they would drop out onto the floor underneath my skirt. I know it sounds ridiculous, and it is. I mean, how absurd, how crazy it is that we have to resort to such ridiculous methods to reach our audience, just to get a message through to witnesses. But I had to do something covert, and this was the way I came up with, and it was working quite well, especially if I did it in a crowd of people and people would just see these things on the floor and pick them up. But I pushed my luck a little bit far, and towards the end of the lunch break, one of the sisters in my congregation spotted them popping out from underneath my skirt and pointed me out to the attendants, who chased after me, who revoked my invitation to be there, and my husband, because he was with me. And after telling them how disgusted I was with the talk, which I had already heard that morning, my husband and I literally ran, gathered our belongings and ran from the convention. But the story that got out, that I later on heard about, was that a whole line of brothers had to line up with their arms linked and force me and my husband out, and that we were accusing them of assault and stuff like this. So this just shows you how the rumour mill operates within the Jehovah's Witnesses. I guess they need something exciting, to talk about. So anyway, yes, I hadn't thought about getting caught, so I felt a little bit shaky after that, but it was okay. Anyway, getting on to this talk, I've got the transcript of it here, and I would like to read through it because it's just so good. We can't let this talk disappear. We've got to keep it alive because it's just so good. Okay, I will start reading. I might stop to comment, partway through. You cannot be partaking at the table of Jehovah and the table of demons. These inspired words of the Apostle Paul, found at 1 Corinthians 10:21, show that two figurative tables are set before us. For the last day and a half, you have been partaking at the table of truth of Jehovah, and haven't you found it to be good? Jehovah uses human representatives, the faithful and appointed elders, to dispense truths for those eating at his table. The apostate Satan disseminates falsehoods in a similar way. He mimics Jehovah by using human representatives. Who are they? If Satan and his demons are chefs in his evil kitchen, then human apostates are his helpers. Wicked humans imitate the original apostate Satan. Like Satan, human apostates are unruly men who cook up wicked reasoning and season their brew with poisonous lies that deceive minds. And I've got a picture to show you what one of these helpers looks like. Look. Who's this deranged helper in Satan's evil kitchen? Yeah, that's me. See how deranged looking I am? I just need a bit of steam coming out of the pot, but anyway, so isn't that the image that is conjured up in one's mind? This kitchen, these little evil horned helpers scurrying around and, seasoning the brew. It's, like a witch's cauldron, and just ridiculous imagery there. I wonder if that affected any of the children listening. Continuing. Human apostates have sat at the table of Jehovah. At Jehovah's table they enjoyed a table of well-oiled dishes, a banquet of wine kept on the grapes. They were domestics, part of the household of faith, and partook of Bible truth, prepared and dispensed by the faithful steward, the governing body. But they pushed away from the table of Jehovah. Their preference is to partake of falsehoods at the table of demons. Yeah, exactly. I remember Evie Brooklyn did a video that was quite hilarious, showing that, the food gets dished onto the table of Jehovah, And then after a few years, it gets shifted over to the table of demons. It's now out of date, old, putrefied food, gone past its expiry date. And that's the table that the apostates feed at. Right, continuing. This action of pushing themselves away from the table of Jehovah is described for us at 1 John 2:19, where it says they went out from us because they were not of our sort. Apostates do not drift away from the truth. They deliberately decide to go out from among God's people because they are not our sort. Human apostates are part of the seed of the serpent spoken of in Genesis 3:15. If we wish to please Jehovah, we cannot sit at his table and at the same time be nibbling at the table of demons. You know, that off spiritual food, that old light. Eating from the hands of Satan's helpers, human apostates. So for the next few minutes, we are going to discuss how to identify human apostates and what you must do to protect yourself from the poison of apostasy. Let's first discuss how to identify human apostates. Apostasy often starts with prideful rejection of counsel and escalates into bitterness and jealousy. Because apostates allow bitterness to take root in their heart, they become defiant of and false to the truth. Really? Okay. No, most apostates probably start out as honest Bible students, having honest questions that they get shut down for, and then they get shunned for it, and it's no wonder that they become bitter because they've been separated from their families. How does this defiance to the truth manifest itself? The actions of apostates bear three characteristics. These characteristics help us identify human apostates. The first identifying mark is comment on it, Luke 6:46. Why call me Lord, but do not do the things I say? Apostates prefer to be followers of Jesus, but are not obedient to his commands. A recent example of when this happened was in the mid-70s, when some prominent elders, some who even served at Bethel, felt it was below their dignity to go house to house, proclaiming the message as commanded by Jesus. Okay, I won't read through the whole lot here. The second characteristic that identifies them is commented on at Acts 20:30. Men will rise and speak twisted things to draw away the disciples for themselves. What is it that apostates want? Most are not content to simply leave the faith they once viewed as true. They want to take others with them. Rather than going out and making their own disciples, many apostates seek to draw away Christ's disciples after themselves. Really? I don't think so. I don't think they're looking for followers. They just want their families back. Okay. You know, if you're trying to warn those in the congregation, that's not attempting to get followers for yourself. It's just giving them a warning. Talks about them being like a kidnapper who carries an unsuspecting victim away from his family. Apostates prey upon trusting members of the congregation, seeking to carry them away from the flock. In addition, they seek to cause divisions in the congregation. Well, I kind of think that that's exactly what the governing body does. They are the ones who are wanting them to follow them, who take them away from their families and cause divisions by expelling people just for having a different religious opinion. Okay, it says they use smooth talk on the internet, on television, or through letters to loyal witnesses. Apostates claim to serve God but reject his representatives. They lie through the media, etc., etc. And it goes on a little bit more, talking about how apostates are, you know, insincere and predatory and all these nasty, nasty things. You know, it's good to look at, I believe it was a June 2000 magazine about propaganda and how name calling is used as a technique. And it's certainly what us apostates find, that we've had this negative label slapped upon us, and that's slanderous and that's hate speech. Okay, bye.